You're listening to the Practical Wealth Show with Curtis May, putting you in the driver's seat to control your finances. Let's start the Practical Wealth Talk about alternatives to Wall Street.
Welcome to the Practical Wealth Show, where we talk about my favorite subject, money. And so what we're going to talk about today, the title of this episode is Wealth is a Choice. The Success Secrets of Black Millionaires. And so what I'm going to do and this is, I'm highlighting in light of it's Black History Month. I got this idea actually for this show from Jay at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, and he highlighted, I can't think of the name of the person. I have to look it up because I want to go buy the book or download the book. I just can't remember the title right now. I bought it already. So you have something to go back through and listen, or go through the notes and listen to this stuff. So I actually want you to, let me start out saying this. Get this book. This book is called The Wealth Choice, The Success Secrets of Black Millionaires. Okay. And you don't have to be black to do it. But, one of the things is that I would give him, I went to him. So I'll tell you a quick story. So what happened was, and why I think this is important. He wrote a book called, the first book he wrote was called Think and Grow Rich, Your Black Choice. So this came out about 92. So I was with another company in financial services. How was I, about 26, 27? And I just, I've always been into books and sharing information. And so he came to Philly for a book signing. I said, man, I met him, shook his hands, like, man, I think I had him sign my book. You owe me money. He looked at me funny and started laughing. He's like, what do you mean? I said, listen, I've easily sold 50 books for you because I make clients buy it. I've given them away. I thought it was awesome, and he was basically commissioned by W. Clement Stone to finish a book that Napoleon Hill of Think and Grow Rich fame. He died in 1970, 100 pages into a manuscript, writing a book about wealth creation for African Americans. So he finished that book. It came out. It was a bestseller. And I would dare say a lot of people haven't heard of that book either. But what I want to cover today is I want to cover Principle 9 in the book. There's a series of principles. There is 7. So I'm going to go over Principle 7, the 7 laws of wealth. So 7th law is make thy money grow. We're going to talk about that. And I'm going to talk about the first law, which is the first law of wealth. Wealth of knowledge, your most powerful economic weapon. And I'm going to share you an example today of one of my favorite entrepreneurs that I learned about through this book. And the book is called S.B. Fuller. It's a biography. And this guy was the precursor to a lot of, like, John Johnson, the guy from Parker Sausages, Seaway Furniture Stores in Chicago. A lot of some of you icons, depending on which age you are, will know some of these names. Well, they were all his proteges. He used to hold sales meetings in the 50s. He used to give away Cadillac. He had his own cosmetic company. He had a department store. He bought a 7-building factory where he manufactured his own stuff. I mean, the guy is awesome. And to me, that's the blueprint. People talk about Black Wall Street. He's got the blueprint of how we should be thinking. And I'm going to go into where I heard from the book, and in his book, why he got blackballed for that thought process because it didn't go with the party line of the power elites in the Black community. So all that stuff pisses me off. All right. So we're going to talk about that. And but I want to talk about the 9th law, discipline 9. So there's another. So in the so there's 2 things out there. I did a video after I read the book. So this is how you gotta, Jim Rohn says, I always say, if you're going to get good at something, practice, study, and teach. So I got through this. I said, wow, this is powerful. I'm going to study this book. And the book is meant to be studied. It says that in the book, that don't just read this. He said in the other book, he said out of the 500,000 copies he sold, maybe 10,000 of them, he said people have him sign them, and they were, no highlights, weren't no bent over pages. And, when I give people books, like if you meet me and I recommend a book, I'll do an inspection. And so if I give you a book and I call you, depending on the size of the book, within a week, you better have read it, or I'm going to let you know about yourself. And then I'm going to inspect it, and I want to see the notes, the highlights, the journal, of the thoughts that came to you, folks. You got to get stuff out of these books. You got to learn how to study. Okay, so everybody goes to work for money. It makes sense to, hey, let's learn how money works, right? And so I cut a video called "The 9 Disciplines of Black Millionaires." Okay, from the first chapter. That's just the first chapter in the book. So I'll put in the show notes a YouTube video that I created a little while ago that I was excited. I had made some notes to myself. Hey, let's record this. My goal was to have it be about 5 minutes, being like 19. And then I had since created, I think I may do a webinar on this month on the book, on the laws, and put it into a talk. And I've given that talk at Martin Luther King Days, and, for different organizations that saw it and had a special request for me to come give it to their group. So I'll do a webinar on this, but it's interesting. One of the take I got from it. So he talks about in the book how and it was sponsored by a local, company, the Black Advisors at this, big financial services company. I won't name it, if I named it, you would know what it is, but it has a big rock floating down the river. Right. And, so he goes, he talks about this, and I had never heard him speak. So when he signed it, I was fired up. When I heard him speak, and then he gave me the idea that, you could speak to this stuff to a certain population, I realized that this market was big enough that, that I could kind of share stuff. And what I realized, and kind of part of the goal of my show, is to marry, what I call prosperity economics, to bring this to people that look like me, right? That I don't think will ever hear it, because there's not enough people of color in financial services. Definitely not enough women, right? And so we need help. The average advisor is like 60, so we need a new generation of people. But the people that do it are still basically touting the party line, product this, product that. And products don't win. And one of the things I'll get into the book, and one of the things that you look at is that, they brought these people out that sponsor him to come speak to attract out these affluent people. But none of the products that companies, this is the other part you got to learn to read between the lines. This is what I got out of it, that products don't win for you. So when you look at, he asked them, how did you become a millionaire? And 80% business ownership, 30%, I know it's 110, said real estate investing. So it wasn't, I got this great growth mutual fund, I got this great, index annuity, I've got this, this hot stock. None of those millionaires made millions by using financial products. They built businesses and they buy real estate. Okay, so success leaves clues. So what do I always preach? See, folks, you are your best investment. The best investment is in between your two ears. In what? Your mindset, your skill set, and your network, then in your business. Okay, and I don't care if that business is a part-time business. It can grow to a full-time enterprise, but you've got to learn to be an entrepreneurial thinker. So let's begin with the end in mind. So I'm going to talk about the 9 principal discipline 9, since I just got to church, which is spirituality. This is the 9th discipline, the gospel of wealth, I called it in my presentation. Where do Black millionaires draw their inspiration? From a close personal relationship from their creator, in the belief that the Almighty has a plan for their life. See, we're poor in spirit. Sometimes I hear from the Pope, but I hear a little bit of this, and I'll show you what I mean. And so what happens is, it goes on to say in the book, that for people that have been in this country more than 400 years, as Black Americans, we have yet to claim our divine inheritance. What he talks about in the book is that we, rather than combating any and all economic barriers to wealth and prosperity, we are unconsciously bred to think of ourselves as victims. And who does that, you might ask? I ain't going to go there today, but, there's a lot of entities that if you don't see yourself as a victim, they don't really have a group of people following them. Okay. And so they're quick to point fingers and heap blame on any outside cause that has kept us stuck in poverty. Okay. So I figured, look, I'm going to accept some people. I'm going to accept you from the beginning of this recording so you can stop listening so I can weed out the people that really need to hear this message. All right. And so we're poor in spirit because we relish the habit of living on marginal incomes, spending beyond our means, spurning the need to save, embracing the need to impress others, forsaking a basic education, justifying existence with an endless cycle of debt and liabilities. We don't even realize that reinforce and strengthen the preconceptions surrounding lack and limit our ability to foster and preserve wealth. Okay. And see, so, the first law of wealth is wealth begins in the mind and ends in the purse. We talk about prosperity economics. The first tenet of prosperity economics is think. Okay. Think from a prosperous mindset. Scarcity thinking keeps you stuck. So I may preach a little bit on this episode. But there are some lessons. So get a notepad. So one of the things he talks about in the book is this. He says, what he was interviewing with John Johnson. John Johnson, the founder of Ebony Magazine, asked him, young man, why aren't you rich? And so he said that question kind of took him aback a little bit. And he says, well, he didn't know. He says, he said, listen, he says, you and your generation live in an era of unprecedented wealth and growth. More men and women have become wealthy in the last 20 years than any other time in history. You have been given a sound mind and body, not to mention an energetic spirit, as well as opportunity at every turn. And to top it off, you've earned a degree. So he asked again, why aren't you wealthy? And he said, he was ashamed he had failed to grasp past opportunities and realized wasted time means wasted energy, wasted talents, and wasted potential. Okay. And he goes on to say the millionaires among us are men and women of laser-like focus and concentration. Wealth creators have hammered away at one place long enough to accomplish their pursuit. All right. And so, we have a world of have and have nots. But see, what happens is, he says, and I believe this, and I'm a product of this. My family, as you've heard me say, is third generation entrepreneur. So, this is the world I come from. So people look at me crazy because I won't buy into that victim mentality. I was talking to a business owner the other day. Oh, they were disadvantaged, or we need these set aside. I ain't disadvantaged. Okay. You don't need to do business with me because I'm black. Do business with me because I'm good and I can create value in your life. And if you don't see where I can do that, then don't do business with me. So I work hard on me being better. My best investment is on my education and being able to service people, because I know that, with our process, we have the key to financial cantrip, because it's not about products. It's about your thinking. And so I work hard on helping people through this show, through the clients I work with, really, working on your mental conditioning when it comes to finance, because I think that is broke. We have a lot of crap going on in our head, right? And so wealth is a matter of circumstance. It's less a matter of circumstance than it is a matter of knowledge and choice. And so with such wealth, no one should ever be poor. You must take control of your life. You must make a decision to be wealthy. Hence the title of the show, The Wealth Choice. That's a decision. And so he quotes W.B. Du Bois. Somebody asked him a question at an Atlanta university. He says, "What I'm about to share," Dr. Bois replied, "you will do well to write on your heart and place in your purse. Many a ruined man dates his downfall to the day he began buying what he did not need. If you're in debt, part of you belongs to your creditors." All right. So next month, we're going to do our whole month's going to be getting out of debt. Freedom. What is the 4 pillars of a strong personal economy? The first one is freedom from debt to others. So we're going to really go hard on how to do that and how to be the bank because 35% of every dollar leaves your household in the form of debt. So you got to get, there's more opportunity, as I always say, to minimize your losses, the wealth transfers, than you have to pick winning investments. Go back to my episode on transfers. Okay. And so the only path, here's a great quote. So if you look at my book, it's all dog-eared and written up, right? The only path that connects poverty to great wealth, only one path connects poverty and great wealth. The long, rugged road of faith, family, hard work with the marketplace once are men and women with the ambition and nerve to work, wait, whether the world applauds, criticizes, or condemns them. And so, one of the things is that the gist of the book is this. So this is what fired me up, and this is part of the cause of the show. Okay, so if anybody knows Dr. Kimbrough, forward this to him and tell him I want to interview him. I'd love to talk to him again. And so, and most people are stuck in what I call the debt paradigm, right? And so the debt paradigm, we're taught to basically get money, get the stuff you need and want. So it's basically earn, borrow, spend, repay, or you save a little bit so you can spend it later. So theirs are, and so both of those things will keep you on a treadmill because you're subscribing to what the industry and what the economy and what institutions want you to do. So they give you enough information to play the game of money, but not how to win. All right. And so I want you to look at the statistics of what the debt paradigm has done to the Black community, because, so he talks about some of the things in the lopsided wealth ratios. The government began publishing data in the 80s. So, and this is what blew me away. He was breaking this stuff down in the workshop or the seminar I was at with him. The net worth of Black households, this book came out in 2013. So this article, 2005, fell from 12,000. This book came out in 2013. So the net worth of Black households was only $12,124 in 2005. And it dropped to $5,677 in 2009, a decline of 53%. Okay. And more than 1/3 of Black households had a zero net worth during the same period. Approximately 35% of all African Americans had no wealth or were in debt in 2009. To magnify the point, wow, 25% of households were wealth poor, holding assets less than $10,000. Far cry from the 45% of Black households that fell into this category. Home ownership rates, highest for whites, 74%, and lowest for Blacks, 46%. Strikingly, Black unemployment was less than those of whites, and the median Black family worth stands at $8,300 of that of whites at $56,000. This is average, national average. 24% of African households spend more than their income as compared to only 14% of white households. 32% of Blacks, African Americans, whatever you want to say, don't save at all. Okay, don't save at all. So, what I always teach from the Richest Man in Babylon: part of all you earn is yours to keep. And somebody read me I was reading this book, and there was a scripture out of it, being in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 6. All right, and so look it up. And debate on that. And let me see if I can find this real quick. So but as so 24% of America. So that's so Blacks are 6 less times more likely than whites to purchase a Mercedes. Now we don't save any money, but we're 6 times more likely to purchase a Mercedes Benz. And he says the average income of African American who buys a Jaguar is nearly 1/3 less than that of a white purchaser of the same luxury vehicle. So we want to impress people with BS. I tell people, look, I was talking to a group of network marketers. I said, listen, stop trying to impress people with your cars you drive and all this bling bling stuff. You need to have impressive financial statements, right? If you're solid, that will attract people to you. Success is something you attract by the person that you become, right? And so white households are a lot more likely to own stocks and mutual funds, 31%, such as IRA or Keogh accounts, 27.5%. Less than 10% of Americans own these assets, and their median value is $8,000, far less than whites at $20,000. Okay, And I'm not a huge stock market guy, but still, in one half of I'm skipping around of African Americans are homeowners. To compound matters, he says whites are 3 times more likely to own rental property than Black Americans, as well to own and operate a business, 12% compared to 3.4%, right? And so there's a book called Maggie's List about this woman who, the business is called Maggie's List, which you should check out, but she owes a book called Our Black Year, which you should, I want to get her on the show also. And so when you look at that number, she had a hard time spending her money with Black business because folks, it's just not enough out there in the right type of stuff. And so that's less than 0.5% of all the sales receipts generated in the United States. And then according to 2000 survey of business owners, the 1.9 Black-owned firms, $1.8 million are classified as sole proprietorships. The average receipts for these non-employee firms was a paltry $21,270. So when people say, well, we you can't hire nobody if you're not making any money. I mean, you're not. I was at an event. I told this to somebody. I says, I'm not trying to step on any toes. This guy told us at the event I was at, there are events where I go to, we don't hold no punches, and they will call you out. So listen, you ain't making 8-10 grand a year. You don't have a business. You have a hobby. Okay. So I will lessen that. I think I told that to some people. I said, listen, if you're not making at least $4 grand a month, you don't have a business. You have a hobby. All right. So definitely don't quit your job. You need to learn how to earn outside of your job. Is what I'm saying. So I'm not insulting anybody. I'm saying we got to get better at marketing, at growing. If you're going to, we're out sending our kids to spending, $100,000 on college and student debt to train them to go work for somebody else because we don't know nothing. Where we can hire them to work for us. If my kid's going to be a lawyer, they're going to be my corporate lawyer. Why am I spending, 80 grand so they can go take that talent to work for a job somewhere else for somebody else on a business that they can't leave to their kids. One time my daughter said, well, when I get older, I want to work at such. My wife goes, time out. Do you see anybody in this house with a job? Okay. We employ other people. Don't get it twisted. Okay. And see, so you got to have, if you're Rich Dad Poor Dad, the whole title of the book is called Rich Dad Poor Dad, what wealthy people teach their kids that the poor and middle class don't. And one of the things is that one dad, poor dad, told his son, go to school, get your education, find a good company to work for. The other dad said, go to school, get your education, and find a good company to buy, right? What are the difference in those statements there? Okay, one of ownership, right? And control. See, you send people out there and have no control, and hope somebody will like you and hire you. The heck with that. Okay, I need control. I don't know about you. So if that's you, because I tell people, look, so you know who to work with. If you don't want to be in control and lead your wealth, I'm just your guy. So when I talk to people in terms of working from a client standpoint, listen, it's your money. Can't be more important to me than it is to you. So I'm going to give you some homework so we can discuss it so that we can work through your problems and then we'll figure out what to do. But if you just want to stick your head in the sand and just work and max out your 401k, God bless you. I'll give you a number of somebody to call because you can't work with me. Okay. Because we're going to get each other's nerves. All right. So let's talk about the last chapter. So I talked about the first one, right? So the chapter 7, make thy money grow, right? The 7th law of wealth, make thy money grow. And so what happens is, what's the difference between 112,000 African-American households or the 35,000 men and women who possess a net worth of $1 million or more? Scores of Americans, black and white, struggle to pay their bills. See, is it... people talk about the wealth gap, and I have this article in there somewhere, and it's like, all right, we need to study poverty, and figure out what programs what we can do to help these people. Listen, poverty is the natural state. You don't need to study poverty. That's like, well, why did the plane crash? We got to study that. Now it's mechanical difficulties, but basically gravity. Okay, is why the plane crashed. Falling is the natural state. What happens is with aeronautics, you just control it. So poverty is a natural state. So when I said read the Wealth Choice, Success Seekers and Black Millionaires, what you need to study is how people that have money get money. Okay, And you don't need to spend millions of dollars on a private. You don't need no programs. What's the word? What do they call it? Wealth redistribution. So if you look at the parable of the talents, the don't get me in trouble. Any pastors that listen to this, when we're trying to I'm paraphrasing, right? The servant, the master left. He gave 5 talent. Talent took me like 20 years. I realized talent represent money, like X amount, like 10,000 or $100,000 in silver, right? So he gave it to the one servant, 5 talents. He doubled it to 10. He gave the other one 2. He doubled it to 5, and the other one buried it because he was afraid of losing it. So the master comes back and says, the one that took it from 5 to 10, good servant, great job. 2 to 5, good servant, great job. The guy who buried it said, listen, you should at least put it in the bank, dude. It's like, so I can earn rental, and rental's nowhere for interest. You could at least put it in the bank where I could earn interest. I wouldn't have made a lot of money, but I have at least a little bit more than what I did when I gave you. You just buried it and put it underneath your mattress, so to speak. Okay. And so now, did he say, well, are you Bernie Sanders fans? We need to take I'm a mess. All right. This is not a political show. I'm just messy. I'd like to pick up people. So did he take the money from the guy that doubled his at 10 and say, okay, listen, well, we need to redistribute this wealth. And since this guy is downtrodden, I need to give him half of your money. No, he did not. He took the money from the person that buried the money and gave it to the one that was a good steward over his money. So he did not redistribute wealth. So read your Bible. Okay. Those of you that, do that. And so now I'm not saying you shouldn't help people. Curtis is so, insensitive, blah, blah, blah. That's not the point. That's not what I'm talking about. My point is success leaves clues. All right. And so why are they different? They differ in their attitude. See, so why do they do it? Why are there haves and have nots? The 1% are driven. They are deeply passionate about what they do, as if their chosen field of work or endeavor is a calling, not a career. See, money is, and being in business is a pain in the butt. So if you're just working for money, money is not enough stuff, because you can spend money. If you want freedom, you want to take care of your family, you want to be what I call anti-fragile. That's what drives you. That's the driving force of most people. It's not money. Okay. And so, because if you love it and you're already why do wealth people keep working? Because it's they like the game. It's how you keep score. And so you can't win. See, people talk about capitalism. I want to do a whole show on that because most people don't even know what the hell that is. All right. But you can't win by screwing people. So profits are not evil. See, profits is the marketplace voting with their wallet saying, okay, you have a good product. I value your good or service, and I'm willing to exchange my dollars for value. So the only way to make a profit is to create value in the marketplace. So get over yourself. All right. Second, they have acquired inner peace regarding their ability to meet any challenge and rise above any situation or circumstance that they overcome. See, that's why I tell people, look, you got to raise your ceiling. Got this from Dan Sullivan, of complexity. See, as your knowledge goes up, your anxiety comes down. So why do you should read 12 to 15 books? 12 to 15 pages a day, so that mentally you have more choices. All right. And so third, he says in this chapter, Black millionaires are innovative and creative. They think, now they only think outside the box, they create their own box. Okay. And the fourth, the Black elite are grateful and for the blessings and the good fortune that they have their way. Kim Butler, we start our meetings at the summit on gratitude. What are you grateful for? And so I'm trying to, ask myself, in the morning, what am I grateful? I'm grateful for my family, my wife, my kids, the business, and being able to do something I love and be able to serve people. What are you grateful for? You got to start out with gratitude. And the fifth thing that these haves do is they are always on a personal quest to learn something new or absorb new information. I was at a meeting and somebody says, well, I don't like to weed. You better get over that. Okay. Cause you're not going to grow. Okay. And, what did somebody tell me? They hadn't gotten to such and such yet. Well, so listen, if you don't read, then you're not ever going to make any more money because you're already at your level that your knowledge has brought you. So if you want to increase that, you've got to get more skills. Okay. And so now I want to finish with S.B. Fuller. Okay. And so from have to have not, wealth and self-development are the two most conspicuous qualities among wealth builder. Okay. So F.B. Fuller was brought up. He had a 6th grade education. He began to teach himself self-development by reading such books as The Art of Selling and How to Win Friends and Influence People in the 30s. Okay. And his mother told him, who died at 17, convinced his son the best way out of poverty was through sales and entrepreneurship. Right. And so in the book, he says he was the epitome of the 7th law of wealth, is that he shared at a convention. He was speaking before the Baptist Convention in Chicago. He says that the ultimate weapon to fight against discrimination is self-help, he urged. A refusal to remain dependent on others for your subsistence. Dependence on others is no better than updated slavery. Okay. Now, this is what got him in trouble, right? So in 1963, he was requested to speak at the now. He was a Republican. He was most affluent people were Republicans back in the day. I don't know if y'all know that. I'm gonna send out. I'm gonna put that in the show notes a video that links to the history of the two parties, and both of them are. Don't get me started. I'm not even gonna go there. I'll get myself in trouble. The number one problem today. So whenever people here is I'm gonna give a part of the keynote that he puts in the book. He says, wherever there are people, there is progress. And wherever there is progress, there are problems. The number one domestic problem in America today, this is 1963, when this was written, is the race problem. It is contrary to the laws of nature for man to stand still. He must move forward. And the eternal march of progress will force him forward. The Negro, or we would say African American in today's language, has failed to understand that. And he believes the lack of civil rights legislation and the lack of integration have kept him back. Okay. But this is not true. The lack of initiative, courage, integrity, loyalty, and wisdom are responsible for his not making the rate of progress at the rate he should make. The Negro had the amount. If the Negro had the amount of initiative, courage, and imagination required, he could control retail selling in his own community. A lack of understanding of the capitalistic system, not racial barriers, has kept the Negro from making progress. Ooh, why did he say that? Okay, because I guess I'll name it because it's in the book. The NAACP did not like that. Okay, because that was against the party line, and they boycotted him for saying that. What is wrong in that statement? All right, so not to throw them under the bus, I'm just saying that was different leadership, but that was against the party line of, we've got to get the government to bail us out. Here's another one. He says this is a statement he had. Poverty is not the enemy. The enemy is that the man or woman who not only believes in his or own helplessness, but actually worships it. Is if we could save money as well as we save souls, many of our problems would be solved. Okay. Fuller's main message was centered on individual freedom and personal responsibility. His favorite quote was by Plato: "It's better to be unborn than untaught, for ignorance is the root of misfortune." Oh my goodness. Okay. That is, I'm not going to go there because I'm already 35 minutes in. And you could go, I could do a chapter a month of this. I may do a YouTube live on this stuff because this is some powerful stuff. And if you're not going to read it, I will read it to you because I think it's people perish for lack of knowledge. And there is just some gems of stuff that really, I'm rereading it now for this month. So what I did was, in the first episode of the year, I said you need to have set out the 12 books you're going to read this year. I've reread a couple of books just to get my thinking right. And I've got new books I want to read. So I'll probably read 2 books because I'm going to reread certain books I need to kind of refresh myself on the ideas. And then I've got a list of new books, new ideas. A lot of them on like business, marketing, team building, I'm rereading like Developing the Leaders Around You, because we're looking at developing some sales forces and that kind of stuff. But folks, you've got to, personal development has got to be, there's a direct correlation between that and your income. And then you've got to save money. That is a common theme, and I didn't say invest. I didn't say buy Bitcoin. I said save money. Okay. Where's the best place to store cash? You ask. Okay. So there's a club. This is a product, is permanent life insurance, whole life, dividend paying whole life to be particular. So if you don't, ask me. It's in the book. We talk about it in the book, and the financial planning has failed. But if you will email me, I'll also send you a copy of Kim's book, Live Your Life Insurance. Okay. You'll see this is a financial Swiss Army knife. That's the foundation. You want to save money that has a better rate of return than banks, that you have access. You can make the $1 do more than one job. And so from your savings now, because you're not just accumulating, you need to move money through assets. That's another one of the 7 principles of prosperity, right? Principles are not about products. Principles don't change, right? And so you have to move money through assets. So when you have savings, what are the 4 things you can do with savings, or really 5? You can save your savings. You can consume your savings. Don't want to do that, right? You can lend your savings. You can invest your savings, or a combination of all 5 of those things. Okay. But make no mistake about it. It begins with savings, because if you don't save, you don't have any money to invest. If you spend everything you make, you don't have any money to advance yourself forward. Okay. And so you have to do that. You got to learn to, when we talk about budgeting, that just means you've got to learn how to have discipline for yourself. Because like I said, I've seen people get $500,000, like huge settlements, and just blow through money. In a couple of years, that money's all gone. So because there's more stuff that your heart desires, then you'll have money. So you'll always have more stuff. You have to discipline yourself, but you've got to make a decision that part of all I earn is mine to keep. Because if you don't, just reading a book where it says, listen, there's 2 types of people. You make money and you pay your bills and you try to save what's left, or you can make money, you pay yourself first, and then you spend what's left after you paid yourself. Well, if you look around, the people that do the second part, in other words, they save and spend after they have set their savings goals aside, the people that don't do that work for the people that do that. All right. And so think about that. So which one of those you want to be? So if you can't discipline yourself, then you will always be a slave working for somebody else. I had to put it out there like that. But so you got to make a decision. It's a choice. And so in honor of Black History Month, I just wanted to share this. So the 2 books I'm talking about that I've talked about today, one is The Wealth Choice by Dennis Kimbro, Success Secrets of Black Millionaires. Folks, go and get this book. I don't make any money off this. I just think it's a powerful book. And the second one is so that book led me to find S.B. Fuller, Pioneer in Black Economic Development, by Mary Fuller Casey. And it's a biography of the man and Fuller Products. I'll tell you another good book in that genre is Titan, Black Titan, which is the autobiography of A.G. Gaston, which he also talks about in the book. And that's on Audible. I downloaded that book. That is a powerful book. And he learned directly from, if I do one on him also, from Booker T. Washington. Went to his school. He had a school, insurance company, a funeral home, a construction company. This is in the 50s. So when all of the freedom, civil rights people, Dr. King, Andrew Young, when they all got arrested in Selma, A.G. Gaston was based out of Birmingham. Well, guess who bailed all them out? He did. All of them. Okay. And so somebody's got to be able to write the check. All right. You can do all. And so, somebody's got to understand the laws of capitalism. And because if we could learn that thing, those secrets and how to operate our affairs, because see, you're still looking from somebody to lead you out of bondage. You have to, only thing you can, folks, you can't control the economy. The only thing that you can control is your personal economy, your production, and your consumption as a family. So you've got to be a good steward of your resources and systematically grow your net worth and your passive income. Okay. And my mission in life is to help you do that. So with that, thank you for listening to the Practical Wealth Show. I kind of ran it a little bit, so forgive me, but I'm kind of, as one of the Eagles said during parade, I'm a little bit turned up right now. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Please leave me a positive, if you like it. If you like it, don't worry about it. Quote on YouTube, and share, so we can get the message out of prosperity economics and wealth creation. And guys, we will talk to you next week. Have a couple great interviews coming up next week, and that we've recorded and waiting for to set some appointments up. So listen up, and we will talk to you soon. Make it a great day.
Thanks for listening to Practical Wealth. To access the show notes and resources, go to practicalwealthshow.com. To get your questions on the show, go to practicalwealthshow.com. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before you make any investment decisions, consult a professional. This show is copyrighted by Practical Wealth. Written permission must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting.